And I think we're live. Or at least I hope we're live. Just see if I come back. Oh, here we go. Yes, we're live. Adam, mate, are you there?
I'm here, bruv. I'm here.
So we are joined tonight by the Adam Meakin. And obviously, do you want to say anything about your Iron Realm media stuff before we get going?
Well, after last night's pimping, I've got to give you a shout out back, mate, for that. It was so very generous of you, even though Riley forgot us. Bang out of order. Texted him, and I was Skyping him saying, Oi, you're dead, pal. He did send me a revised picture where we replaced Dell, I think. I don't think he needs a shout out, does he? But yeah, Iron Realm Media. So we're on Friday nights, 10:30 GMT. And then the guys, sometimes I'm on there, sometimes not. But Zach, Josh, and Walt are always on the True Frequency Radio Ironworks, which is 10 in the morning on a Tuesday and a Friday as well. So always good bits of flat and lots of other stuff as well in terms of both on IRM and TFR. We
excellent
stepping out a little bit, aren't we? Are we joined?
Yeah, we've just had word back from Anthony that Conspiracy Flaps is ready to join.
Sweet.
So here we go.
I'm not going to debate, but I will sit as and hopefully arbitrate if necessary, pal.
Okay. So the idea tonight. Well, the idea tonight, I think, is essentially because he did a debate with this guy called KRO, and they only got through 2 points. They got through something to do with the seismograph wave, seismowave, whatever it's called, seismology machine, and some random flat earther that put some kind of curvature video out. So they're talking about that. So essentially, we're going to be debating that again tonight. I think it's only fair, seeing as he's called me out for a debate. So feel free.
Right.
He has the link. Mate. He has the link. Let's see if he actually does join.
Is the money going in a pot then? Is the money going to charity?
I think that. Well, yeah. I already put. I put a 1 in today.
Yeah. Is the money going to charity?
I put a 1 in today. Oh, here we go. We got a bit of feedback echo there. There we go.
Hey, Ranty. Nice to see you.
Hi, Conspiracy Flaps. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Did you know I'm a physics teacher?
I heard that. I did actually hear that. But can you prove it?
I believe we're here to talk about seismology today. Is that right, Ranty?
We're here to talk about seismology.
That's great, Ranty, because I've brought my physics book with me. This is the modern law of physics. And in this book, I can find everything I want about anything to do with physics. And guess what, Ranty? There's lots of pictures and diagrams in here, Ranty, and these are all proof. So, you want to talk about seismology with me, Ranty, do you?
Well, I'd like to see what you've got for proof first. So, I know that you brought it up on the debates before, so I'm just interested in what your...
Yeah, of course, Ranty, of course there's a ball. Excuse me, can we have slide 7, please? There we go. There's slide 7. So this is proof, absolute proof, and there's no other way that this can possibly be that the seismology works this way. Because if it didn't work this way, it wouldn't be a ball, Ranty. So it has to work this way. And this is the best that we can explain for living on a sphere with diagrams. There you go, Ranty. Proof that we live on a ball.
Wow. Okay. So hang on, wait a minute. Let me just see what we've got here. Obviously we have a big sphere. I assume we're looking at your interpretation of the Earth here, yes?
No, Ranty, this is in my special book, my physics book, but only I can use my physics book. If you use my physics book, that's called cherry picking. But if I use the physics book, Ranty, that makes it true.
Okay, well, for argument's sake, we'll agree that this is your physics book and this is your physics proof, yes? This is your diagram?
Of course it's true, Ranty. This is what it says in my book.
Okay. So it says that you have a solid inner core. Is that right? Yeah?
Yeah, we definitely have a solid inner core. And do you know how we know that, Ranty?
Go on.
It says in my book.
Now then, do you know if there's been any exploration beneath the core?
Can I just interject there a sec, Ranty? Because Baldy said it's a book, but is it a big, thick book?
It's very thick.
Oh, that must be true. No, it's got to be true. Then carry on. Sorry. Carry on.
Okay. So, do you know if there's been any exploration beneath the core at any point?
I've lost my hair. My hair's fallen off. Exploration below the surface. Just hang on. Let me put my face back on. Not going to work now. The gag's died. I can't be Conspiracy Catz without a slaphead.
Shit the bed. It's you, Riley.
Oh, how did you know?
Damn it!
This is ridiculous. Let me go back to my bedroom because you'll not see
it.
You'll not recognise me in my bedroom. There you go. You can't tell it's me now, can you? I've even put talcum powder on my face because I've got a bit of a white complexion. You see.
Well, you know what, right? After all these years of being a flat earther, mate, I didn't think I'd get done by CGI again, but I can't believe it.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't worry about putting powder on your face. Fight the flat earth. He's always doing it.
Fight the flat earth? What are you talking? I keep hearing this guy's name, but right. Anyway, so let's go back to slide 7, Ranty.
Go back to the slide. Right.
This is proof, Ranty, that we live on a ball. Come on, it's in my book. It's true. It's a diagram, Ranty. What can you say about this?
All right. So we're looking for some kind of scientific proof here. So, would you know of any exploration beneath the core?
Of course, we've dug 8 miles down, Ranty. It's 11 kilometres, you know. I could do a bit of maths for that one. Do you want me to do a bit of maths to convert it for you, Ranty? You're not very good at maths, are you, on your side of the fence?
Now then, do you happen to know what they expected to find when they were digging down?
Yeah. Molten iron core and magna and mantle and stuff like that, because we have hydrogen and no, we don't have hydrogen. That's what they found. We have what is it, nickel and iron, and they're the 2 composite materials inside the core of the earth. And do you know how we know that, Ranty? Because we've got sums.
Okay. And you know that they obviously use this seismic machine to penetrate the earth and have an idea of what was going to be down there before they actually dug, yes?
Yeah, we know exactly. We know everything that's down there. Because look, Ranty, it's on the screen right now. We've
got
P waves and S waves. Okay. God, you're so thick.
Calm down. But when they actually dug it down, did they find what they expected to find, where they expected to find it? Or was things different from what they were expecting to find due to this technology of seismic waves?
I think that's an important point, because if a model is going to be of any use, its ability to predict really does give its validity of use.
I don't know. So, this is me flapping.
Oh, you're flapping there, right? You're flapping, right? Okay, well, I asked you to be honest because you're, a science teacher. So I know that you know this answer. So is it possible that being a glober and all, you could actually be honest for once and just tell a correct answer?
I can look it up in my magic book of what is it, the modern law of science. So what is it I can do for you, Ranty? It'll be in here.
Did they find what they expected to find when they dug down, or was it different?
It was all liquid. It was all mantle and inner core and outer core, Ranty. God,
I think you're exaggerating now. Come on,
Ranty. What do you think it's made of? Cheese?
Tell the truth, conspiracy flaps.
Listen, Ranty, unless you've got any evidence.
The truth on the science book.
Unless you've got
Put your hand on the science book now. Put your right hand on the science book and swear to tell the truth.
I'm telling lies.
But you need to tell the truth.
I don't know what the truth is anymore. I thought I knew it when I was younger, and when I went through teacher college, I got told it was all true, so it must be true. And because we've got a diagram, Ranty.
Okay, would it be all right if I maybe answer the question then, seeing as you're unwilling to?
Now you're just obfuscating me. Just answer my question.
Which was?
It was, can we have slide 7 again, please? Oh, it's on. I'm a bit stuck now, Ranty. I don't quite know what to do. Do you know, I'm losing signal. You've got me, Ranty. I'm a bit stuck now. I'm not quite sure what I should say now. I'm meant to be telling you what the iron core is made of, because someone told me in school, in teacher school.
Or how about you just tell us what they actually found when they dug down?
But if I do that, Ranty, I'll expose myself.
Yes, that's what we want you to do. No, we don't want you to do that. We want you to put your hand on the science book.
If I do it upside down,
tell the truth.
It's upside down. Is that like when you cross your fingers? It's upside down. So I promise to tell the truth. Yeah, they find boiling hydrogen mud and lots of water at depths that they weren't meant to know about. And they also found that there was a decrease in rock density that they weren't expecting. And there was a few other things that seismology predicted and got wrong, but we'll call them anomalies. And we'll say that we just can't explain these little bits, but it's okay because science.
Okay, so I'm pleased that you answered it honestly. So now that we know that seismology got it wrong, and yet you're showing a diagram that says this is what the Earth looks like.
What are you saying, that seismology got it wrong? They were anomalies, Ranty. Anomalies are okay in science.
I need a referee. Cue Adam.
I was just tweeting that out to the boys. So
I need a referee here.
I said that anomalies are okay in science, Adam. Science, you know, that thing that you did too.
Well, as I said, guys, we have a model. In science, a model is only as good as the predictions it can give. Obviously, it doesn't represent reality.
Yeah, but Adam, models are real things, you know.
Well, you can make a model is real if you make it. It's a real model.
Mine's real. Gravity's real. You know, gravity's real, right? We can prove it.
Well, like I said, the test of a model is its ability to predict, isn't it? And if sadly it doesn't predict anything that is tested, and when it is tested, it's shown the things that are verifiable to be false, then the things that you can't test, but the assumptions you're going to make from it, you would have to assume from the testing of the model that if it can't get the first bit right, where you can at least assess the material, it's got bugger all chance of getting the latter right, or you can assign very little assurity to anything it could find. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to rule that if your model doesn't predict correctly, then you can't use it to make statements of fact.
Well, let me respond to that by saying that there's a message in chat from Martin Leakey, and his question is, how deep have we drilled, Catz? Do you know how far it is that we've drilled, Ranty? We've drilled down massive distances. And do you know how far it is for these distances, Ranty? It's like going from your house right back to the M6 motorway. It's like 11 kilometers. Do you know how far that is?
Is that 11 kilometers?
That's really deep, Ranty. That's how deep we've gone. And
yeah, I'm going to have to interject again, guys. It's 8 miles. That's not 11 kilometers. I'm going to have to call you on your maths there.
Well, I rounded it up a little bit for exaggeration, but it's no, we know it's we don't mind that. That's okay.
Well, you have drilled down 0.19%.
Oh. So, that's not very much, that is it?
Oh.
But I need to obfuscate this point. So but it's 11 kilometers, Ranty. That's really deep. That's the deepest drilled hole that we've ever had. Do you understand that, Ranty?
I understand it, but it was wrong. Your model was wrong. The results were wrong.
My model, Ranty, is real, you know.
You can't use seismology to tell the shape of the Earth if you can't even, using seismology, get the correct consistency of the Earth at just a few miles down. As simple as that.
Just to let Chocolate saying no in chat, I did have a hat on, like with fingers as well, but it burst off. And then, you know, because obviously my head's a bit bigger than the circle, you know, the circumference thing. My head's a bit bigger than that, and it's got hair on it. I was going to shave it all off, but my missus said no. So I had to find a compromise. Anyway, so where were we? We're on about my model and how accurate my model is and predictive capabilities.
So I think that we're saying things to you and you're just not listening. It's like we're trying to walk you through the process of where you might be incorrect, and yet you still go back to your science book. Do you see the fallacy going on here?
But Ranty, it's in my book, and it's a real thing. This gravity thing, it's real, you know. My model's real because it says so in my book. Can we have slide 7 again, please? Slide 7 will show me how real it is. Are you ready? Slide 7, are you ready? There we go. That's how real it is. So, Ranty, what have you got that's better than my diagram? There's no other way that we can interpret this diagram. This is absolutely the only interpretation.
I'm going to have to come in again then, guys. Ranty, have you got a diagram?
No, this is my diagram. This is the best diagram.
No, but have you got has Ranty got a diagram?
I don't need a diagram. I don't need
my diagram's better than your diagram, so my diagram wins.
Diagram versus no diagram.
Is it diagram wars?
I can imagine now. But I can imagine things with Baldy, you see.
And there's no other way it could possibly work. What have you got to say about that one, Ranty? There's no other interpretation possible in the human history of man possible by the stuff that we get back, because all of them are symmetrical, and no matter where we are, they're symmetrical. So it doesn't matter where we are on this sphere, they're always symmetrical, they're always the same. Ranty, have you got a better diagram than me?
Right. Well, do you know how P waves and S waves work?
Of course I do. I'm a teacher.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what S waves won't penetrate?
Let me look it up in my little book of science. Hang on a second. S waves. S waves are the secondary wave. They come after the primary wave. They will penetrate rock, but they will not penetrate liquid. There we go, Ranty. They don't penetrate liquid. So how does that prove your flat Earth then? How does that work on a flat Earth?
So you see in your diagram, it doesn't show any liquid until you get down to the liquid outer core. So
yeah, but I don't care about I want to know about your diagram. How does it work on your flat Earth, Ranty? Doesn't possibly work on any other model. This is my model, and it only works on mine.
But what would happen if there was water 8 miles down?
Well, it has to be like that on a ball.
But your diagram doesn't show water.
Ball. Diagram. Mine wins. It's in the book.
Do you think you'd get a different set of results back if you hit water at, say, 8 miles?
Are you trying to say that in the Kola Super Deep borehole, they drilled down and found water at 8 miles?
I could be saying that.
Ranty, I'm going to have to interrupt again. Look, can you please provide a diagram to back up that logical assertion?
If you can't provide one, Ranty, just draw one out. It'll be okay. It's a diagram.
It may be common sense, but if you can't give me a picture, I can't comprehend what's coming out of your mouth, mate. It doesn't make any sense to me because, unfortunately, Baldy's got a picture.
Yeah, I've got it's a real picture as well. It's not a picture. It's a real picture.
Okie dokie then. Well, bear with me. I have a circle. Can you see the circle? Flaps, do you see the circle?
I see the circle, yeah.
Right, good. Right. So in your model, let's go to ellipses. Oh no, hang on. Here we have the core.
Yeah.
There's the core. There's the molten iron core around it. Yes?
Yeah.
But what happens if you hit water? Let's do it in blue. What happens if you hit a seam of water there at 8 miles down?
It makes it a ball, of course.
What do you think would happen? Do you think the S waves would be able to penetrate?
Ranty, again, I'm going to have to interrupt. Can you, if you're saying 8 miles, that's nowhere near 8 miles.
Okay.
That's probably nearer 500 miles. Can make your diagram accurate, please? Accurate.
Begging the question.
I'll give you that. Nothing. I'm prepared to accept that error of margin there. That's fine. Carry on.
So when we send the S waves down here and they hit this water down here, they aren't penetrating, are they? They aren't getting all the way down here to get a return signal from down here, are they? Because they're being returned here. Anthony. I mean, conspiracy flaps.
Yeah, of course. That's only going to happen on a ball, though, Ranty, because it's a ball, because my diagram says so.
Your own seismic and the Kola borehole proved you different. Proved water was here.
Yeah, but listen, Ranty,
not necessarily here.
Ranty, you can't use my book. Only I can use my book. When you use my book, it's cherry picking. But when I use my book, it's okay.
Do you think that if the consistency of the Earth underneath the core is different, then you would get a different set of results.
No, it's only ever be a ball, Ranty, because my diagram says so.
Put your hand on the scientific Bible and say after me.
After me.
You would get a different set of results.
It's always a ball because my diagram says it's a ball, Ranty. Don't you understand science?
You would get a different set of results because the consistency and the layers and the properties of the earth that they dug through is different to what they expected.
No,
and
Ranty,
doesn't conform to the model.
Ranty, I understand now. You don't understand how science works. Science works by me being the bigger guy because I'm the teacher, you being the little guy and the dumb one because you're a flat earther, and then basically we ridicule you.
Right. We're getting into a bit ad hominem now, so I'm going to have to adjudicate. We're going to have to move on to another topic. So I'm going to make a decision on this one, guys, and I'm giving it Baldy because his pictures is a hell of a lot better than yours, Ranty. I'm sorry. It's a much better picture. Therefore, it must be more true.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Conspiracy Flaps won this one, did he?
As logical and coherent as your argument is, have a look at slide number 7.
Slide number 7 says it all, doesn't it?
Sold it to me, mate. I'm afraid on that one. Yeah, your logic, evaluation, and an appraisal of what was presented to back it up, even though it is a sensible analysis of their model and the model's lack of ability to actually predict anything. It's a much better picture from Hairy Catz there.
See, Ranty, my picture wins.
Pictures win. Got you.
Ranty, what I don't mind doing for you, because I'm an honest kind of teacher, right? I'm going to give you a couple of links that you might find useful so that you can use against me, and then I'll just wriggle my way out of it and I'll obfuscate the point and I'll make myself look like a right knob, but I'll give you the information that you want. Would that be okay?
Right. Well, listen, we've already done. I think we've worn this joke out now, so let's get down to some nitty-gritty stuff, shall we?
Okay, shall we talk about space instead then?
No, but you can still sit on the Conspiracy Catz corner because it is quite funny, actually.
I want to talk about space. Space is real as well, you know.
So is this. Do you remember this happening? Were you in there?
What? Remember what?
This.
Stick 100 quid in my Patreon and I will consider it. Is Patreon another word for his bottom?
No.
Is 100 quid another word for his willy?
It's like, well, you know what Patreon is.
Oh, it's you that said that. Stick 100 quid in your Patreon and I'll consider it. No, what's this about? Remind me.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Conspiracy Catz. Now, right, first and foremost, let's get a bit of history going here. He has a history of misrepresenting people, correct?
He's not quite as bad as Sean Uff, but yeah, he does do a little bit. He claims that Ranty's boat's going over the horizon-proof ball Earth. He does it all the time as well.
And he also, even though it said it had an inferior mirage, and you could clearly see the inferior mirage, he actually said that it didn't have an inferior mirage. I mean, the guy's just as dishonest as they come. Then we had the new location where we actually filmed it during a tidal bore, which he already knew because I told him about this, but then he then proceeded to produce this as evidence in this 1v1 against this pole on the non sequitur a week ago. But anyway, I'd done a whole video, and it's a shame that you couldn't have actually done your volume because I don't have the facility to do that unless it's through the mic, which it might pick up some of it. Should we try it? See whether it comes through?
I'm not sure it will.
Okay, well, anyway, right, so this was the story. So Conspiracy Catz was on his Baldy Catz account, and basically he was trying to get Nathan to debate him. Nathan was refusing. He was asking me to debate him, and I said, no, didn't want to debate him. Don't want to go near the guy with a barge pole because of his dishonesty, essentially his dishonesty. And he knows that he's being dishonest, and he's dishonest in a number of different ways. And I'm going to prove this right now. He did a video today, and through it, I mean, he mocks me. He basically says, oh, yeah, give me 100 quid in my account. That isn't what I said. That is not what I said. I'll get through, as we're not being able to play the video, this is actually more to the point because I actually speak it and say this. So this is my complete answer to him. Put £100 in my Patreon I'll consider your offer. That's fair enough, isn't it? And if I choose to debate you, then I will. And if not, I will donate it to charity.
Seems legit.
That's fair enough, isn't it? That's exactly as I say it as I meant it. Exactly as I meant it. I didn't think for 1 minute he would have the... well, we know what Globers are like. They never, ever put money up for anything. They never follow through with anything.
Oh, no, Greatest Sapien did. Greatest Sapien took, was it 20 grand and then didn't give any of it back? And then somehow everyone forgets it.
Oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, well, no, what I mean is they don't put it out of their own pocket. So apparently he has actually done this.
I've not seen that before, Ranty. So I read that as you said to him, tell you what, mate, you put, if you put your money where your mouth is, stick £100 in my Patreon account to show that you are willing genuine. To make, and then I will make a choice as to whether to debate you or not. Yeah. If I decide to, brilliant. If not, I'll move that money and give it to a charity. Is that all right?
Yeah. And to be fair, I also meant it as in, even if I debate you, I'll still give it to charity. It wasn't a case of, I wanted to see if he had his money where his mouth was.
Well, that doesn't read that out. It sounds like you're going to keep it if you don't debate him. But that's kind of irrelevant. The point is that you were saying, give me the money to show you genuine. And then if not, and then I will make my decision. Rather than you saying, yeah, I'll come and debate you. You're saying to him, you show me your genuine first.
Does this matter? Is this an important point, or can we move on from it?
It is an important point because it's an important point because the following day, or maybe even that evening, I started to get a Twitter from Conspiracy Catz, and this was this is out of the blue after he'd actually seen what I'd said. So you guys read that and tell me what you think.
Given that you said you would take me up on my offer for you to debate me for charity, then On Sect Show have offered me a spot this Saturday. You wouldn't go back on your word, would you? Let's do it.
Now, does that read anything like what I actually said?
So hang on, let me get this straight. The facts are he's donated 100 quid to charity, and he now wants a debate.
No, I read that he's now complete. I read that thing. I've never read it before. So I read it as I read it. He appears to have misread it, and he's saying, given that you've completely agreed to whatever terms I first set out, and I'm not responding to yours, whatever you said in your previous thing, I'm assuming you've accepted my offer for a debate for charity, which has got nothing to do with what you've written. So unless there was previous correspondence between the two of you, then it's a complete misunderstanding.
It's not a misunderstanding
or misrepresentation of your response.
Well, why is his comments so like
different from what I actually said? Yeah. Why? Because this is how he goes about doing his work. This is how he tries to dig at people to get a response from them.
That's how he manipulates children in the classroom.
Possibly.
Yeah,
it's kind of that like double speak where you in it. It's kind of it's just teacher bullying, isn't it?
Right. So basically, what the position is now is you've got the choice. Now, let's
no. Listen, there isn't a choice. I'm not debating him, and I'm not debating him for this particular reason. It's the misrepresentation that he's done over me over the past 2 months or so. When you first came across the guy, he seemed, in your opinion, to be a decent, level-headed guy who was open to the debate.
Yeah, that's right.
He was open to the debate, but his actions subsequently are completely different.
Correct.
He's misrepresented absolutely every single person that's on his channel. He edits things out. He makes them look like idiots, fools. He lies about stuff. He's told specific points like this has an inferior mirage, and then he'll say the boat didn't have an inferior mirage. It just went over the curve. It's like, hang on, wait a minute. That's completely not right. That isn't what happened. And then you'll say things like, you're filming this when there's a tidal bore. Tidal bores raise the height of the water in that location by 2 meters. I was actually at 4 feet. Oh, I'll tell the person that I'm debating that you were at 3 to 4 meters above sea level. Even when I got down and filmed it and showed you my height elevation above actual sea level, he then told somebody else that I was 3 to 4 meters above sea level when I was only 4 feet. It's the consistent lies with him. It's not even, it's
the thing is, right, there's 2 ways to view this in my eyes. One, He's donated 100 quid to charity, possibly in the honest view that he was going to have a debate with you about whatever. And that allows you to have the discretion to whether or not you think that A, the donation's sincere, genuine, and B, if it was, you've got the choice to decide whether or not you think that it's sincere, like genuine, legitimate. Alternatively, you could see it as, well, he hasn't done what you asked him to do, which is no surprise. But not only has he not done what, like you say, backed on all them previous lies, and he is a liar, he's misrepresenting your work continually. And I've seen him do it. The question that I would be asking is he actually worth, because of all of his previous lies, misrepresentations, and falsehoods, and there have been loads. I've witnessed them myself. I've called him out for it. I would actually say to you, stick 2 fingers up at him and just say, you didn't do what I asked, and you are misrepresenting all of my work because you are dishonest. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is my exact response to him. He did that. I noticed it, and I responded with, thanks for the lying screenshot to add to my many others of you, which I do have. And then I responded a couple of other times afterwards. Dear, oh dear, Conspiracy Flaps caught out in another lie. It's literally a link to the point where I actually speak it on the, I think it was Arwin's show. And I actually verbalize what I actually said. And then I called it. You lying little toe rag. I called it. Listen to me predicting you would lie. Oh dear, you are so predictable. And this is my response to his original response, to try and bait me into a debate, and also trying to do the old, you wouldn't go back on your, hang on, let's just get it exactly up. Given that you said you would take me up on my offer for debate for charity, right? So, okay, so he's included the charity there. This is why I got descended on by a dozen trolls and more, you know, on that I had to ban because he literally sent his Twitter trolls over. Then you wouldn't go back on your word, would you? I never gave any word about anything. I never agreed to debate you. I never agreed for anything. And so to actually then put out you wouldn't go back on your word, it's like the guy is deliberately trying to bait. Yeah. And, I don't want to. Why would I want to debate somebody that has continually misrepresented me? Be honest.
You wouldn't.
And I have no intention of either. So there's some of the.
I tell you what I would say, Ranty, to be the fair man. What I would say is, if Conspiracy Catz is prepared to apologise for lying and misrepresenting your work previously in the past.
No, hell no. He's made a whole career.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got 15,000 subs through misrepresenting flat earthers.
Yeah,
literally,
I agree.
And cutting things out, manipulating them, and trying to get them into this kind of debate with him so that he can try and mock them again and misrepresent them again.
What platform is this on?
This is on Twitter.
Bloody hell, he's getting about, isn't he?
Yeah, he's all over the place. So anyway, this was Conspiracy Catz. This was him misrepresenting me right at the start. Yeah, just complete misrepresenting it. You should hear him in his video, the way he says it. I'm going to play it and see if it comes through the mic. So let's just see.
Turn your mic right up.
I will. So I might be completely... let's just see what happens here. If it's dead loud, I'm going to have to pause it. Oh, hang on. That's not going to work. I need to unplug it. One sec.
Yeah. Why are you doing that, Ranty? Just give me a second. You said something at the beginning of your rant there, with regards to when he first came on the scene, and I was really hopeful because Anthony introduced him as a gent and a genuine guy, and I think he started out that there's been a change, but for me, he's kind of symptomatic of those that don't that argue on the ball, and he's quite a good case example of what happens, the complete inability. I mean, we took the mick there. You have, Tony, aren't you, with with your baldy head?
To be honest, I mean it in good spirits. It was...
Yeah. Because it's only a giggle. It wasn't a roast, mate. He stuck would have been better as a condom.
You know, I'm not going to shop buying a condom. I was going to send her, but she didn't want to ask for them either.
I get them out for free. But the point I'm making is this. No, I was really hopeful that even if he didn't turn into a flat earther, that we would at least be able to have some intelligent, honest debate. And I think the point for me that's noticeable is how his debate has descended from the early days of talking about stuff to this obfuscation, confusion tactics, just like the rumpus. And that would be the thing I'd say. He came on the scene when rumpus was at his prime. And for me, I thought, oh, somebody intelligent that'll actually admit a point, look at a point, because he is a teacher, that he'll actually be honest about stuff. And this is the strange thing for me. It's at this A-level, GCSE level, there is this, you know how you talk about, oh, in chemistry, you've got GCSE chemistry of our atom is A-level and then degree level, and they're all different. And there appears to be an honesty level from what I can see within the academic structure that certainly at the level he's operating at, things are fact. But once you get postgraduate and you're still dealing in that academic world of, there's a lot more honesty at the higher levels. If you look at the top physicists, all of them will say it's all made up nonsense. None of it's backable, you know. But it appears that at the lower levels, and this is demonstrated by him, that there's an inability to recognize the limitations of what you're purporting to be fact. And that's the disappointing thing for me, because for me, I was hoping that we'd have somebody in this thing that would at least be honest about what you can and you can't say, because he does pretend he's above a lot of people with his teaching children of 14, 15-year-old, 16. Yeah, I teach 25-year-olds post-academically, and if we're going to put guns out, you know what I mean? Not that it matters, because there are people that in the realm that don't hold degrees that teach me things. You know, this nonsense that holding a degree is in something is in some way validates your opinion. Your research and your evidence validates your opinion, not what piece of paper somebody gave you 20 years ago or maybe more. Yeah, and
well, I just want to say that
I've got a rant there. Sorry, Randy. I went off on one.
The process of doing being a scientist or practicing science is to take all the available information, all of it, and put it out, lay it out in front of you, and analyze it and make sure that all of these pieces all match up to get your conclusion. So you've got this, and this. And if you eliminate a massive part of that process by refusing to acknowledge something that doesn't agree with you, all you're doing is you're practicing a different type of science, which is basically just going over stuff that you already know. You're not actually finding anything new out. You're not actually being scientific about it. So when he's actually showing the boat, for instance, going over what, in his opinion, going over the curvature of the Earth, and I will say you can clearly see an inferior mirage, right? It's as blatantly obvious to anybody that's in the, that has ever seen anything like this. They know it's absolutely an inferior mirage. For him to then deliberately lie about it and say that, no, there's no inferior mirage there, it's just the bolt going over the curvature of the Earth, that isn't being very scientific. That's not actually using your brain and saying, okay, yes, there is an inferior mirage. I see what the flat earther there is saying. Okay, well, let's examine that and let's look into what this inferior mirage is then. Yeah.
On that kind of that way of thinking, as a parent who's got kids who will be getting taught by gentlemen like this, what you see is, back in the day when we were kids at school, the teachers used to do their own syllabus in a way, and there was a lot more honesty in that. Actually, you were being taught by somebody who'd learnt something. What the kids are getting at the moment are actors, frankly, who come on with the script and do that. And what you said there, Ranty, really exemplifies it, because I remember being given critical thinking by my early science teachers and my best teachers, you know, the ones that you remember, the ones that you value. And it appears to me now that I was at university, and we're doing drug science and researching stuff. And this is probably a good example of what I've said and what you've said. And there was a professor, and if he's still alive, he was hardcore then, and he won't mind. His name was Dr. Vaughan, and he was a genius, an absolute genius. And I remember him grilling us all and saying, "Where'd you get your information from, lads? Where'd you get this?" And we'd say, "This book's..." Who writes that book? Who writes that book? It says the people that are selling the drugs. Yeah, don't believe a bloody word of it. And that stuck in my mind, because that's a teacher. That's somebody that makes you realize that what he's giving you is the best of his knowledge, but don't believe it and better him. Become a scientist. Challenge what he's taught you and apply science to question it and improve your understanding. And what appears to me, if Mr. Catz is using this same rhetoric that he does online to children, he's a priest, he's a preacher, and what he isn't doing is teaching his science students to become scientists. He's teaching them to be good parishioners.
You see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a ledge that I was lying on to film Barrow from this new location. Now, what I do in the video is obviously I shoot the imagery in the video, and then I'm just going to play out now what I actually do is I walk down and I stand by the incoming water. So I'm standing at sea level. So my feet are at sea level. And right now let me just go back a tad. Right. So just back a tad. So right now I'm now holding the camera at chest height, and I realize that I'm above this. It was a tripod that I'd laid on the ledge. So what I do is I crouch down a tad just to get it absolutely level, so that I know that I'm level with that ledge now. And then I estimate my height to be 4 feet. So the camera is now set to 4 feet above actual sea level, because that's how the process I've done it. I've walked down this very slender ramp. It's not very high at all. And I've literally just stood by the water's edge, just lowered the camera so it gets into the point that it's level, and then I'm looking around, and yeah, that's about 4 feet above sea level, right? And you hear me doing it on the video, you see me doing it, and then I'll stand up again, and then I'll walk. So there's me going up, going down, getting it at an elevation above sea level of 4 feet. And it's quite obvious that I'm at 4 feet above sea level. It's obvious, blind as clear as a day. So why would he go and say to somebody else that he estimated my height to be 3 to 4 meters when he was doing a debate with somebody? Why would he do that if he's a scientist? Why would he misrepresent the evidence? Rather than saying the evidence is I was at 4 feet, oh, there's a tidal bore there that's a 2 meter swell on the water, why would he put me at an elevation of 3 to 4 meters?
Because he's a cunt is the only answer.
But what I mean is he's not getting anything out of it. He's not gaining anything from it. He's not being... If he's a scientist and he's been interested in science from being a child, obviously he has been, because this is what is the career that he's gone into. So he's obviously interested in science. He's obviously interested in finding out new scientific things. Or is he going to be a parrot? But whatever. But when he's presented with the evidence in his face, with me walking through it, I'm always honest with my observations. I always pan around to show you everything. You've seen me measuring the steps, for crying out loud. Everywhere I go, I've got measurements going. So when I say I'm
Ranty, on that, mate, right? Anyone that's listening and has any interest in this is another thing that discredits the ballers, is the way they look at what you do. Look at where you started from, the critiquing of the Isle of Man stuff. We know we have to prove everything, sadly. Yeah. Your word is worth nothing. And you realize that in all your stuff with the evidential stuff you give to show stuff to validate your statements. And anyone who is genuinely interested in this stuff sees that. And for me, when I hear the ballers, because I'm interested in their opinion, I listen to it, even to the point of listening to Gem Panda's Sunday night roast kind of crap. I'll go through that to listen because I am interested in the truth. But when you hear them use this kind of quite apparent lies about you to discredit the obvious nature of the data you're providing, it doesn't strengthen their argument. It weakens it, and it weakens their next statement, because if it can lie about that, then it's harder to trust what they're about to say next. And
well, he did lie about it. What he said was, what we have here, right? We have in the video, you can see that the waves are only going in one direction. They're going from left to right because the tide is pushing into a cove, and it's called Morecambe Bay. And this estuary where it meets the water, so where the sea meets the estuary, that very narrow location, the sort of bottleneck, is where this tidal bore is at its most aggressive. And
let me help you here. The context is all of the ocean of the North Atlantic channels its way up through the Isle of Man, in between the Isle of Man and England. Half of it channels its way through that side of it, and the other half goes between Ireland and Isle of Man. But the bit that gets channeled through this side, which is where me and Ranty are, that's the reason why we have the high tides, because all of the tide of the North Atlantic is being bottlenecked through a restrictive zone. So obviously that volume of water rises the water, but it's not curve of the earth. It's the incoming tide that's being channeled.
Well, let me just explain. This is a 2 meter swell. So when I say swell, it's artificially raising the height of the tide by 2 meters. So when I go back to this and I'm stood by the water's edge, and I only found this out by actually doing research. I had to go and actually research this because I wanted to know answers as to why we got this image here, right? So I went back and I found out exactly what happens with Morecambe Bay. It's one of the few places in the world, literally one of the few places in the world where you have tidal bores, right? And this is what happened. You stood by the water's edge, right? And you were at 4 feet. You hear me saying it in the video, I'm at 4 feet. But then when I did the research afterwards and I go back and I found out that in the middle, the water is artificially risen up by 2 meters during these tidal bores twice a day.
I'll back that up with a bit of geekiness for you, Randy.
Let me just finish. So that would be 7 feet. 7 feet. So this water is 7 feet higher in the middle to where at the edge where I was stood are only 4 feet above the water's edge at the side. But in the middle, the tidal bore was raising it to 7 feet. So when I was looking across, I was actually looking up by 3 feet, and my direct line of sight was intersected by 3 feet of water that was higher than my actual observer height. So effectively, I was 3 feet beneath the waterline. That's why we get this effect. It's only one of the few places in the world that this actually happens, and you can go and check it out yourself. Morecambe Bay, it's renowned for it. This tidal bores happen twice a day. This is exactly what we were seeing. The water was pushing in from the left to the right. It was funneling up this narrow bottleneck and being pushed up, artificially risen up by 7 feet. So this is what scientists do. They go and they find out reasons for why things appear to happen. And this is what my research has found. And for him to deliberately tell lies and say I was 3 to 4 meters above sea level, right, isn't being scientific, because you can see me here measuring it. Anyway, right. So that's that. Right, carry on, guys. Sorry, I stopped you there.
No, I was just going to back you up on the tidal bore stuff and just put in that's a bore is quite a significant thing. It's the channeling of a massive volume of water into a smaller area. And like you said, there's not many. The one I know is the 7 bore. And that is so powerful. It channels up the Severn estuary and into the fresh water. And I think, it's years ago, but there's guys that surf it, Randy, they go up as it gets into the fresh water. You've got the narrow freshwater area, and they're actually surfing the bore wave all the way up into the land. It's quite a powerful event, and powerful enough for guys to surf. Do you know what I mean? And what you're seeing there is that same effect, but that's happening on a kind of smaller scale in terms of the channeling, but the volume of water is immensely greater. So you're getting that greater lifting that's occurring just solely because of the way the water is channeled from a much greater volume into a smaller, narrower funnel. It really does create that wave effect, which will massively raise the sea level. That figure won't be considered in tidal heights either. That's the important, because it is a wave. It's not counted, I don't think.
Can you see my screen now? Can you see how the waves are just going in one direction? They're just going funneling up like like a surge, a full surge of water being pushed up this funnel. And where I'm filming across, it's the bottleneck. It's literally at the bottleneck between the estuary and the ocean. And we've got all this water funneling in, pushing in, artificially raising the height of this water by 2 meters. And I was only at 4 feet. So obviously we're going to get obstruction because the water is higher than I am actually where I'm actually filming from. And it explains everything, because I see this is a new location that was nearer. And yet, if you look at all my other videos from further away, we see much, flatter, but they're further away and out of that bottleneck. They're not actually filming across the bottleneck. This was the one location that I filmed across this bottleneck that they are using for globe earth proofs.
Shout out to She Who Dares, £5 super chat.
Thank you very much, She Who Dares. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it.
Thank you for all your dedication and hard work, but I think she aimed that at me.
I'll buy you a beer when I see you.
Yay.
But yeah, look how the water's just moving from one side to the other.
Ranty, I'll second Riley's hard work. I've heard he does give you a call at 5, 6 in the morning to make sure you do get up and take all these photos.
You're joking, aren't you? I'm well aware about it.
So yeah, this is the video in question. The one that he says is proof of the globe because it apparently shows water obstructing the buildings. And it does show water obstructing the buildings, but why? And I already told Conspiracy Catz this about 6 or 8 weeks ago. I specifically told him this location has tidal bores, and this is the reason why we don't see the bottom of these buildings, because the tide is artificially raised up in this location. It's one of the few locations in the world. So he already knows this, but he's still parroting this and using this observation as some kind of globe proof. And that is the dishonesty. When he knows this isn't a scientist. Scientists would say, okay, that explains that, and move on. He would never present it again as a globe proof because he understands implicitly
He's done that loads of times.
War is what's causing this.
He's done that loads of times. Listen, can we change topic a bit?
Yeah.
I want to show Adam this. Adam, are you seeing my screen?
Hang on, let me stop sharing.
No, I'm just looking at that. Before we move on, right? That's another good example of the difference here for me. You've got Ranty going out and he gets a freaky thing that you could just, that's curvature. But what he's bothering to do is explore and explain in great detail to figure out why that anomaly is there. It's not there. It doesn't fit with the other data. For some reason, it's there. And actually, you can see that if you don't just take the visual thing and actually explore with a scientific mind, not necessarily doing science, but explore with an honest analytical mind open, you can realize that optical effect has got nothing to do with optics. It's to do with the tidal system, that if you bother to look up about the geography and research what you're doing, instead of just instantly assuming it adopts your religious belief, you can actually get to the truth of matters. And that to me shows, Randy, and I'm going to blow a bit of smoke up your arse, mate, but you don't get to that level of confirmation of why you've got that anomaly without the getting up at stupid o'clock and the dedication you've shown, mate, and then coming home and bothering to find out why, not just hiding that data like a baller would do. Oh shit, that is flat. You know, you bother and you look at it and you appraise yourself. And both you two, I know when I sit with arguments, you'll sit there and go, shit, that looks bally. You don't go, oh, bin that, let's not discuss it. We go, shit, that looks bally, and we explore it. And unsurprisingly, there's always a good reason why it might appear a bit bally, but sod it, it's flat.
Well, that's the whole thing about my channel. It's all about the science of what's going on. Why do we see obstruction? What's going on? The science of, in my mind, it's my science.
Okay. There is science to support some of the stuff we're doing, and that's the crucial point we've got to get. There's nothing wrong with using the word science in the right place, and it's a lovely thing that really, really strengthens an argument. But there is nothing wrong with using a bit of logic and deduction and going, oh, don't need science here. There's a tidal bloody bore, and I can see it happening in my video. That doesn't need science to point out the bloody obvious. And it requires dedication and understanding.
Yeah, and it's actually a very good thing to have actually found out, because I didn't know that this was what was going on in this location when I filmed it. I didn't know that Morecambe Bay was as dangerous as it is for these tidal bores. People have lost their lives. Cockle pickers that were out there picking cockles. I think there was a bunch of Chinese people that were doing this, and they all drowned because the tide came in so fast, and just that's it. Just killed them there, and then they just drowned. It's a really dangerous location, and I wasn't aware of the history of it and how renowned it is for this tidal bore. So it's interesting for me because that explains that kind of, you know, if there was any doubt going around, then this brings me back to the flat, because when I first filmed it, I still uploaded the video because it's data, isn't it? You know, it's data for other people to use. And I'm not afraid of showing stuff and then readdressing it later on and going back to it and saying, okay, well, what's going on here? So Conspiracy Catz was essentially the one that was, you know, because he was using this as proof of the globe, made me do the research afterwards and then go and say, okay, then, well, he's saying this is globe proof. Let's see exactly what's happening with the topography of the area. Let's see if there's anything that can explain this. And sure enough, tidal bore. And when I was reading it, I was like, wow, that's sensational. But the whole point of this is, why is it that Conspiracy Catz will deliberately lie? You hear me on the video, walking down, talking to you, saying, right, I'm stood by the water's edge. I'm just going to lower my camera down now so I've got it right. So, yeah, I'm about 4 feet above sea level. You can actually see me doing it. Why would he then misrepresent me and say I was 3 to 4 meters above sea level? Because he's fundamentally dishonest. Yeah, but is this a scientific way to do it? He's fundamentally intellectually dishonest. Mm.
I wouldn't go that far. I think there's a change of motivation. No.
All right, hang on.
Yeah,
let me interrupt.
It's not dishonest. It's only dishonest if, in his own mind, he's pretending he's being a scientist, and he must be lying to himself. No, I don't think. Let me just finish. I don't think he's being a scientist anymore. I think he's presenting an argument, and that doesn't require him to be dishonest. He's trying. It's a bit like being a lawyer. You don't have to point out. You just have to present an argument, and that appears to be now. He's being more like a lawyer, and you could probably get this more, mate. Tony, you know what I mean? He's not being a scientist. He's being a lawyer now, and he's giving an argument in court. He's no longer even. You use the words intellectually honest. I don't think he's being intellectually dishonest. If you listen to him, what he's doing is avoiding the point, so he doesn't have to be intellectually dishonest. If it was only one item, one occasion in isolation, I'd agree with you. But it isn't, though. He's done it numerous times. That's why I won't debate him. No, I think, and that's the point, because all you'll get is obfuscation. Because generally, I think he's clever enough. He might slip up now and then and be a little bit dishonest. But I think if you listen to it, actually, it is mostly just avoiding the topic. A lot of his stuff, he says, well, what do you think? What do you think? Can you describe? You tell me. That's most of what comes out of his mouth. And it's like I say, so he's not lying. He's just turning the subject and actually asking a different question that you may premise is a response, but it isn't. It's another question. So he's not being intellectually dishonest in a court of law.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. There's too many occasions where he's not told the truth or he's deliberately misrepresented. I mean, Ranty made a video about how that Stenner boat was being compressed at the bottom of the thing. He showed the word Stenner being squashed. He showed, and he then represented it on some show. I think it might have been on Soundlies. I might be wrong with where it was, but he then claimed it was the curve of the Earth. And I'm like, you little sack of shit. I don't think you should give him the benefit of the doubt, if I'm honest, Adam.
All right, shout out Nathan Oakley.
What are you presenting here, Anthony?
Adam, this is what I was given as a citation from a baller to prove that Aristophanes is a legit, and I'll use the word loosely, experiment. It's described as a hands-on experiment in the document itself. I'll give you the link for it if you want it, but basically the World Journal of Education, and it's talking about Aristophanes, and it repeats how this experiment was done by school kids across the European Union, and they all did it on the same day, right? I think 89 schools, 5 different countries, and it was a big thing. It is a big thing. This has been cited as a validation of Aristophanes because they did the same thing that Aristophanes did. And based on their positions in Europe and their angles that they got when they did the thing, they all did the maths, and we all know that the maths works out both ways because Neil deGrasse Tyson tells us so. So therefore, it's true. But at least he's prepared. At least he's prepared to admit it, which a lot of the ballers don't do. But anyway, as we go through the document, it talks about the background to it, who did what, how they did it, why they did it, and everything.
Stop. Oh. Yeah, go on.
It's everything that you would expect to be in this document, right? From our perspective, from both perspectives, it's the way you would expect it to be. Now, what's most interesting about this is that this has been cited by a baller to prove that Aristophanes was a legitimate and valid experiment. The problem is, if you actually read this document, and this is glorious, under the heading discussion at the end, it says, inquiry-based hands-on experiments in classrooms require simple constructs to satisfy a student's curiosity. I'm all right with that. But the ancient Aristophanes experiment, it's not an experiment, provides an excellent inquiry-based hands-on approach for today's students to conceptualize and solve an abstract problem that even contradicts everyday conceptions. And look at this.
Totally agree.
We all know that the Earth is round.
Totally disagree.
But that's the context that they're putting in there.
Although it appears flat.
Yeah.
There's the 94 quote. Yeah.
But it's saying we all know that the Earth is round, and I'm like,
yeah, well, that's religious statement, isn't it? It's not scientific statement.
But it's in a scientific paper.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be there, should it?
Agreed.
But what I would agree with is the bit before, that the experiment does provide excellent inquiry-based hands-on approach for today's students if they were given the conceptualization of an alternative to a ball, and they were given Dr. Zach's video to demonstrate how that mathematics will line up perfectly well on a ball or on a flat plane, depending on what presupposition you start with.
Yeah. And that's in essence the problem.
And that's what students should learn, that the maths can fit either model if you presuppose the model before you start.
Yeah, that's the bit that we should get told, and that's the bit. Now, this then takes me neatly onto, if I can get back to my screen share. So I know I've got to be careful with this because it's ranties. But right, so there we have this, the Education Act, which is, I'm going to give everybody an update on this because this has not been made public yet. It's about to, but again, Aristophanes, right? It says the local authority, governing body, and headmaster must forbid. And then it says the promotion of partisan political views and the teaching of any subject in the school. Well, in law, in the case that comes from this, it defines partisan political views as basically one-sided. If it's a one-sided view, it must be banned. But it's also the promotion of, well, if you deliberately exclude the fact that the maths works both ways, or negligently exclude the fact that maths works both ways, I'm going to argue that that's promoting one model over the other because A, you're cherry picking, and B, you're not being truthful about the maths, because if the maths works both ways, it works both ways. That's what we should be getting taught, because that's the wisdom, that's the knowledge, that's the education. We shouldn't get taught half of it, and we shouldn't be not told about the other half that makes it 50-50 and led to believe that this is fact and 100% true. We should be told that there's two sides to this, and the maths works out both ways, and we don't get told that. And this is an issue, because this is specifically outlawed. We're not allowed to have a one-sided political view. Well, the shape of the earth is political because of the definition of political. It is partisan, it's one-sided, and by not telling us, it's lying by omission. You're literally doing what Conspiracy Catz does. You are telling lies by omitting the truth. And that's not what education's about. We should get told both sides. Anyway, quick update on this one. I have had the busiest 2 weeks of my life after we've come back from Christmas and New Year. I found a barrister. I found a legal team, solicitors to get the matter to do what we want it to do. And I have found, and basically what his words were, in short, his words were, I don't care about whether or not the merits of the arguments are A, B, or C. If you tell me that A, B, or C, I'll accept it. He said, if you tell me you've got the evidence, I'll accept it. I will present the evidence for you in court, and we will have that day in court. Here's my fee. So basically, I've got what I need. I've got the people, I've got the law, and I've got everything. I've got all the evidence that we need. We just need, what we can't agree on is which body deals with this, because it's hard to discover. It's hard to work out who should be dealing with this. Should this be dealt with by me personally and funded by some other form of funding? I would say not. Should it be funded by like the Flat Earth Society, for want of a better example? And obviously the answer would be not. Should FE Corps perhaps do it? And their view on it is, well, it's literally 50-50 split. Their view on the one hand says, well, we're a science experiment-based organization, charitable organization. It's not one of our primary objectives. From one context, but from a different perspective, it is. But ultimately, we're a science experimentation organization, charitable organization, and we don't really want to do this. But on the other hand, they absolutely do want to do it, because the education is the important thing. It is but the problem is there's nobody else in Flat Earth, the topic of Flat Earth, that even fits closely to the criteria of, well, who should do this if FE Corps, perhaps not. And the answer is there isn't one. There is no outfit that I can think of that's even close to what basically we should be challenging in court, because, like I say, we all know that science is so contradictory in itself, and it's nonsense. It falls apart by application of its own science, because you can get an expert that says blue is red, and you get another expert that says actually red's red, and it's that kind of contradiction in terms. I mean, they can't even decide what the sun is, whether it's a gas, whether it's a liquid, whether it's metaphysical. That's still an issue right now that I didn't even know about until recently. They're arguing over what is the sun. So it's like, well, who is it if it's not FE Corps? Who is it that's the best, most suitably placed person, corporate or otherwise, to do this? And I actually don't know the answer, because I don't think there is one.
I don't think it's FE Corps. I know I sat in that meeting, and I don't think, although there are people that are passionate about it, I don't think it's necessarily a function of FE Corps. I think for me it's a community issue, and it's a community issue that requires full disclosure of everything. That's probably not relevant to go into all the boring detail tonight, but for me it's something that is something that the community should support, not necessarily individuals that have got other issues right now, and aren't a bottom. They've not got NASA funding, you know what I mean? But for me, it's with full disclosure. It's something that I think you could ask the community for me, Tony. But
the problem is that the expected costs are about 15 grand, and
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think flat earthers should be asked to pay for that. I don't. I think that if anybody's to pay for it, corporate or otherwise, it just shouldn't be the community of flat earthers. If anything, it should be NASA.
No, it shouldn't, mate. But the world isn't fair. So there's only certain ways that things can be done, or you just dream and talk about them. Okay. And you put it out there with, and like I say, full disclosure. And there's stuff that's nice, and there's stuff that's not so nice in that full disclosure. And so that's not for now. But you put it out there, and then if somebody still wants to contribute, it's up to them, right? But as I always say, I don't see it as e-begging. I haven't put anything out, and I can't think of how I would. But I never take offence or think bad of people that do, unless they're saying, "Oh, can you fix my car?" or "Can you get me out of jail?" or "Can you do this?" They're things that I don't look at because they're people's lives. But if somebody is actually saying, "I want to do this for all of us, this is what I've got. If you're interested in giving me some money," I don't take offense at them asking that and putting it out there, knowing that if they didn't put it out there, it will die.
But I don't agree with asking the community. If anybody's to pay for this, in my opinion, it should be somebody that gets enough money from the government in terms of science to provide a reasonable opposition to challenge the validity of it. It shouldn't be flat earthers. I mean, what's the most that we can afford? A P900 and a compass? I don't think it's fair that we pay for that. And I'm not going to ask for it. I'm not going to do it because I just don't think it's valid. I think that the other people should do it.
Anthony, can you read this, mate? I know we're changing the subject again, but I want to get it back on track a little bit because I'm kind of exposing these little bitches. Here we have Fight the Flat Earth. Craig, do you want to just read this bit here? This is to clearly Flat Earth.
Make me bitch.
Make me bitch.
Oh, right, make me bitch. You're on my list now. Well, he's got a typographical mistake there because your is YOU apostrophe RE. I mean, it's only a little thing, but it shows the mentality of these people. If they do get, I mean, there's a difference between a typo and a grammatical mistake. Now, a typo is something that you can excuse because we all make typos. If you press two keys at once, we get that. But when you get in the wrong your, that tells me that your capacity as a person is not that high. And I'm not being bitchy when I say that, but it's true. If you don't understand the difference between your, and your, it's for me, it's not really acceptable. You're on my list now. Just checking my schedule. Cool. Looks like I can fit you in the second week of January. On an inappropriate capitalization after a comma. Do you want a full episode about you on flirfs? Flirfs are idiots. Well, there needs a capital there because otherwise you don't know it's a title. Or one of my new series, What the Flirf, where I can just focus on one of your videos.
Right. Okay. So fighting talk there. Make me bitch.
Not really. It's dickhead talk.
It is dickhead talk. But this is him on Arwin's. So here we have him again. Let me just get the...
I thought Fight the Flat Earth was his channel name. I didn't realize it was him.
That is the channel name.
Sorry, show name or something. I didn't realize it was his actual his handle.
Right.
I'd like Nathan on.
Just read this out
for this, guys, because this guy's just a YouTuber, isn't he? And he's found another market where he thinks he can become a successful YouTuber. Well,
I'll show you.
Whilst that's freaking annoying,
this
right?
is the dude
I
here.
know. But wouldn't Nathan support him because he'd wish him all the luck as a YouTuber? Whether he believes it or not, and clearly I don't think he's investigated anything. He's found a niche. Isn't he just somebody that's not worth... Look at that. I couldn't be asked to type that. I don't do any of this stuff with folks, guys. I have no desire to engage with these people. I'm quite happy to look at them and assess what the hell's going on within the community. But
so this is what he said to Arwin. Shut down your channel now before I have to destroy it myself, bitch. Right? I mean, come on. This is, this is this guy.
This is playground talk, isn't it?
Yeah. But this is this idiot.
It's either delusional or promotional.
But this is the new breed of global.
I don't even know. I don't even know what motivates these people. Honest to God, I mean, it's one thing to genuinely believe that the Earth's a ball, right? Even though there's a shed load of evidence against it, but to blindly present shit that's just not true is, I mean, I honestly do. I'm lost for words with him. I just don't know where to put him in life. It's like, is he one of the? he's a victim, isn't he? He's a victim of his own stupidity. Arwin, remember you need 4,000 hours in the last 12 months to turn on monetization. You're nowhere near that. Oh, at least he's got the right euro there, although he's missed off his apostrophe.
Except he already has. He's got 6,000. Armin's already put in for monetization and been accepted. Well, you know, it's going through the process.
Do you want to send Nathan a link, see if he joins?
He's got it.
I think all these newbies that are coming in now, I don't know where they've been. I don't know what rock they've come out from, but they all seem to be computer-related people.
Yeah.
So I think we can just ignore them. I don't see how they can be. Well, all that'll happen is they'll get shout-outs by Conspiracy Catz, by No Simon Dan, and before you know it, they'll have 100,000 subs. Well, maybe 20,000 subs or whatever. And again, there'll be no evidence. There'll be no science in it. It'll be rhetoric. It'll be dogma. It'll be ridicule, scorn, hatred, vitriol. And there's people on their side that are not interested in the evidence. They just want to see somebody being called a loser. And if that person happens to be Arwin this week, it doesn't really matter what the video's about. They'll just present it anyway, misapply or misrepresent it, claim victory on it in some way. And the ballers that like that kind of stuff are too stupid to realize that it's complete falsehoods that it's based on.
I think for the most part, you have we've got 160 people watching here, and when Nathan's doing his streams, we've got 250. On Jeranisms, you get 1,000. For the most part, people don't make any comments in the side chat. There's a lot of people that are just listening in the side chat, and they're watching the content because they're not really interested in the name call. They're not interested in the bickering and the bitching and all this kind of stuff. They just want the science. They want the truth. There's a lot of people watching that are just after that. And trust me, if you go to these Globers, you're not going to get the truth. And that's what I'm exposing tonight. I'm exposing their lies. They blatantly lie so that they can get a result that has a conformity bias for the globe.
So Hazmat asks, English is just a language. Why so serious? You sound like a mathematician. If somebody presents evidence to me that makes me question their capacity because they don't know things like your, and your, they don't know the difference between the three of them, then that makes me wonder what intellectual capacity do they have. Now, the reality is, if these guys are as clever as they profess to be, then the focus really from their perspective should be the evidence that proves that we live on a ball. But obviously, we know that there is no evidence to prove that we live on a ball. So what else can you do? You can only attack the character because you know that the other person has got the counter evidence, if necessary, to counter your non-evidence. So you have to try and discredit your opposition. Now, that is a way to tactically win an argument. But fundamentally, if you fail to present evidence because there isn't any, then that's an issue. But if you present yourself in the way that you don't know the difference between you, your, and your, then it creates the perception that you're thick. Now, words have meaning. And the meaning is, if you use the wrong one out of context, that means, to me, that you're of limited capacity. Now, yeah, we all make mistakes. Maybe it was a mistake. We all make typographical mistakes. I actually correct most of mine before I publish them because I'm conscious of it, because I pick people up on it. Yeah, I might get the odd one or two that slips the net, and I may get the wrong, may get something wrong about it. But the mistakes that I make are minimal, and I correct them as well. And people don't like me correcting them because they don't like seeing edited messages. They'd rather the edited message go unedited so that they know that it's not been changed after they've made their next comment. But to be honest, I would rather have a typographical fixed, because even though it might be grammatically correct, a typographical mistake still makes you look like a dick. So no, it is important that we have the right words in phrase, and English is a language that we all should have like a pride in. You have to know your shit. Otherwise, if you get the apostrophe in the wrong place, you just know that you're shit.
I'd excuse I just can't be arsed with the apostrophes anymore.
I don't mind the apostrophes missing.
Right, but it sounds like you're excusing a bit of your OCD outside of that critique as well. Because I remember you slagging me. I showed you something. You went, can you just change that? Can you just change that? And I'm in the middle of doing something, and it was bugging you on screen, weren't it? That I'd not put or I'd used the wrong bit of grammar.
Yeah, a grammatical mistake it does infer on your ability cognitively and capacity wise. It does infer on that. I mean, look, King Flatulus is taking the piss there out of I got the wrong Foucault. I got the right Foucault by name. I just didn't know there were two of them in France at the similar kind of time that had the same title. One of them's a physicist, and the other one's a heliocentric philosopher. So what's the difference between the two? If you and it literally one was described as a philosopher. Well, what's a heliocentric physicist if you're not a philosopher? From my perspective, I didn't know there was two guys in the same area at a similar time, same name as well, and I was half cut as well.
I was going to say, and you were pissed.
No, I wasn't totally pissed. I was half pissed. I'd stopped drinking, but I was on my way down. It was like 1 a.m. I've learned from that one though. I'm not doing that again on a Saturday night. But I deserve. But my point is, I've admitted that, and I deserve all the bullets that come my way as a result of it. But the thing is, these ballers they don't admit errors, mistakes, falsehoods, inaccuracies. Conspiracy Catz will present a diagram to people and pretend that it's real, knowing damn well that it's a reification fallacy, and it proves literally nothing. It's a diagram. I could do a diagram of how Santa gets across the earth on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. Does that mean it's true? No, it's a diagram. Proves nothing. But he'll present it as though it's absolute proof, and he'll ridicule you for even challenging it. But the reality is, Ranty's right. The seismic waves and the seismic seismology, it proves nothing, because it's using technology to interpret these waves based on what you think is a valid model, and actually is like you will always try and interpret it based on the sphere, no matter what. But the reality is there's nothing to denote that we live on a sphere in seismology unless you put it there. That's why it's an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. It's utter garbage, but he knows that, but he'll still tell people it's true. And when I point it out to him, he thinks that I'm just being funny, but he thinks I'm cherry picking or whatever, some other nonsense retort. And it's like, no, you are literally intellectually dishonest in my view, Conspiracy Catz, and it's embarrassing. You're a teacher. You've got a burden of proof on you.
More so. When he actually, I mean, it's a shame that I wasn't able to play that video and have the sound come through, because you actually hear him saying multiple different things, like there is no inferior mirage on the boat. It just goes over the curvature of the earth.
The sound did come through. It was Adam spoke over it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Do
you want to play it again?
That's unlike me.
Let's see.
It did come through.
Okay. Right, bear with me. Nobody speak, because it will come through on the TV, I think. So
especially you, Adam.
What, now or when he start playing?
Am I sharing screen?
I'll mute.
I bet I'm not even sharing screen now, am I? One sec. Let me get this up. Let me get it ready.
Can I unmute to say no?
Are you still judging?
I'm no, I'm not being. I'm no longer impartial.
Right, let's get this up and running. Where are we? Crikey, look at all this stuff. Where are we? I have no idea where it all. Oh, films and thingies. There we go. Right, here we go. I'm going to play the video now, so I'm going to pull my mic out, so hopefully we'll hear it through the microphone. And I'll if I get to talk, yeah, it's all good.
But you don't want me to?
No.
Okay, I'll mute then.
Hello, it's me, Ranty Flat Earth. Baldy Catz, can you stick £100 in my Patreon, please? Yeah, I'm still here. I just want your £100, please, Baldy. No, I do understand what you're saying, but I don't want to do it. I just want your money.
All right.
No, it's me again. Screenshot this. Look, give me the money, and then I'm just going to keep it.
It's kind of a bit of a misrepresentation, don't you think, there? Because this is what I actually said.
We've just had Conspiracy Catz in on his Baldy Catz channel. He's trying to get people to debate him for 200 quid that he will donate to a charity of our choice. So he's offered it to Nathan, he's offered it to me. And essentially, I've done this. I've put it up to him. I said, Baldy Catz, put £100 in my Patreon. I'll consider your offer. If I choose to debate, I will. If not, I'll donate it to charity. Deal? come on, Big Baldy, screenshot that. So just getting it out there in case he tries to manipulate anything.
Which, of course, he did. One sec. I've already played that video. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. Might have the volume here. One sec.
So that's about mid-body to there. We're at sea level, so that is exactly 4 feet above sea level.
There we go. You can speak now, guys. Yeah.
I don't want to anymore.
Did you hear me saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think what we should do, right, is we should basically say to these ballers, all of us, all the flat earthers, stop being like petulant and petty. Forget all this like name calling and shit, right? Yeah, it's kind of humorous, and I did this hangout today with Ranty just like tongue in cheek, right? It was a form of flattery that I even impersonated him, right? But let's get it back to basics, right? Let's see the proofs. Let's see the evidences for you guys to believe the stuff that you believe. If Simon Dan, for instance, can we have a bit of science from you? Not rhetoric. That's not the same. Not logic and reason. That's not the same. If you're going to say that the Earth spins, let's see the science that proves that the Earth spins. Let's not see a diagram in a book. That's not proof. That really is not proof. And it's not okay that you present evidence that says one thing, but is really weak as far as the credibility as the evidence goes, but you pass it off as being the strongest piece of evidence ever. That's not okay. People that are on your side of the ball or your side of the fence will probably accept it if you say that that's acceptable. But law wouldn't accept that evidence. It's a diagram. It doesn't prove anything. Let's focus on the evidence of the things that science tells us is true, and let's see if you guys can prove, and stop being vitriolic and personal, because yeah, it's humorous. But the reality is, I don't think that you guys have got any evidence, and you must do it like this. So although it's shits and giggles and it's a little bit tongue in cheek at times, and even if it's meant seriously, where's the proofs? That's what we want to see. That's why we're all here. How are you guys going to prove that we live on a spinning ball? Or we realize that you can't prove it and you have to resort to personal attack.
Well, is he not confident enough to just take the data as it is and be scientific about it and say, I will state that it's 4 feet above sea level? Why would he increase my elevation to 3 to 4 meters? Do you understand? If he's a scientist, why would he do that when he can see firsthand in the video where I'm stood, me talking about it, getting an elevation above sea level? Why would he? Is he not confident enough in his own argument that he has to increase my elevation a little bit more so that when he's debating this pretendy flat earther on the non sequitur show, he can say, oh, well, he was at 4 meters and look, the tide is blocking his line of sight. So these obviously proving the curvature of the Earth. Why wouldn't he address it as it was in the video, which is the evidence? The evidence said 4 feet. You could see that it was 4 feet. Why put me at 4 meters?
It could have been a slip of the tongue.
No, 3 to 4 meters. Because then afterwards he said, oh, and he said that the tide was only 4 feet. The tide was 4 feet. So what he was saying was that I was at 4 meters in elevation. The tide was only at 4 feet. And yet the tide was blocking the buildings in the distance. That's what he was saying. That's what he was making out to the audience. All the non sequitur people that were listening into it would have seen him presenting that in that format. So he was lying about the data. But why would he need to lie about the data?
Maybe if you did the maths on it, it makes it look like it's the right place for the curve to be.
That's exactly why he did it. Because if he was honest and he was doing it he was doing it scientifically and he was saying it as it was, I was 4 feet above sea level. We had a tidal bore going on, which was artificially raising the height in the center to 2 meters or 7 feet. So essentially, I did have blockage caused by the tidal bore. One of the few places in the world where you get this phenomena. And he was well aware of this because I told him this before. So he's deliberately leaving things out. misrepresenting, increasing the height and all this kind of stuff to try and claim a victory? Isn't he actually, you know, confident enough in his own argument to win an argument without having to lie about the data?
Look at Miles Davis. He had to lie about his height. He said he was, what was it, 40 feet above actual sea level. And when we went and measured it, it was at the worst to 31 feet above actual sea level. We measured it. And it's like, and he still supports that position now. When I'm like, Miles, we've measured it. I don't care what your position is now. It's measured, it's done. You lied. And he has to lie because it's not possible on their model that I'm at that elevation that I was at. Now, it turned out to be, I think it was either 12 or 7 feet off or whatever. It wasn't that far out for Google Earth. But the point is, they needed me higher. So Miles had to go out and literally lie, and make it out as though it was me that lied. But he did it in that pompous, arrogant way that he has, that really pompous and endearing in some respects way. And the ballers just accept it because it's come from a baller. But when we do anything, they never accept anything that we do. But they all lie. They are. I mean, like my latest video is literally on, are there any honest ballers out there? Because I just don't think any of them are. I think they're all dishonest.
Exactly. So anything else? Any other news you've got?
I don't know.
Did you respond to Fight the Flat Earth with his video about you?
I haven't watched it. No. I can't, do you know what? I've lost interest in all these new cats that are on the scene. They offer nothing.
It's the same. I literally don't even search for my name anymore because I know that there's probably 3 or 4 videos coming out every week or something. It's just pointless. It's just what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you in a cycle of back and forth. And Arwin mentioned it. He said it's like 2 years ago, this.
Yeah.
And this is essentially what was happening 2 years ago. It was like the ballers were putting videos out. People were responding back and forth. And this is what it was going. It was literally like a shit fest. And no work got done. No progress was made on the flat earth. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring it back to that. Because if you're engaging with them and you're creating content for them and then they're making videos and blah, 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 sending the trolls over, you're attacked on all fronts and you haven't got time to actually do your research. And this is why I actually stated earlier that this is going to be perhaps the last time, if not definitively the last time that I ever address Conspiracy Catz, Simon Dan, Fight the Flat Earth, any of those bullshit dickheads. And there's a reason for that. It's I don't respect them. I don't respect the channels. I don't respect the way they go about doing the way they go about doing the stuff. And I will have to hold my hand up and say that if I was ever going to be responding to anybody, it's going to be people like Slice Barcane, Sean Hufford, Red's Rhetoric. They will be the ones that I'll probably respond to if I'm forced to. But these are the guys I'm not going to bother with. And I'll tell you for why, because they've been so dishonest, the way they've gone about building the channels, the bragging that they're doing, the threatening to close other channels down and all this kind of stuff. I don't need that in my life. I don't need it. I don't need to even know they exist. So to me, they are dead. But in the past, at least Sean and, they would bring you in and they would at least sit down with you and bloody debate you and put the details in and you'd get
Well, hang on, let's not forget what happened with Sean Hufford. GeoStreamer and Soundly were having a backwards conversation in the background somehow. It got recorded. It happened. That's proof that they're lying. Now, when presented with the proof that they're lying, rather than just say, do you know what, guys, fair copy caught us, now fuck off, which is what really should have happened. What they then did was basically double down and try and somehow argue that it was me that was playing the sound of Soundly in a hangout that just so happens to be answering a question. And the problem is that is literally as dishonest as they get. And I don't see them as any better opposition, Ranty. My favourite ball earther is Sly. I like his videos. But he knows that we're not living on a ball. But somehow he's very sleight of hand and magician-like with his presentations. And he's clever. He's clever. However, it doesn't change the fact that they're all of the same mould. They are all fundamentally dishonest. Intellectually, fundamentally dishonest.
Well, even the newest... sorry, even the newest one. Well, I say one of the newest ones, but one that I've come across. Bob, the science guy,
who doesn't realise the independent variable's got to be manipulated in a scientific experiment, otherwise it's pseudoscience. Are you on about that guy?
If you've been arguing with him too, then if that's the case, then fair enough. I'm going to argue for him because essentially what he did is there was a new flat earther that put a video out that showed a platform 9.41 miles away. He had it all documented perfectly, just as I document stuff, yeah? So he actually showed you where his tripod was. He showed you his height above sea level. He showed you this in the distance. He then brought up the images. He showed you it on Google Earth. Everything was there documented, right? You couldn't deny what you were actually seeing. And it was flat earth proof, absolutely flat earth proof. Bob the science guy took this information, decided to see if it was valid. And instead of putting him at 1 foot observation, which is where he was literally 1 foot above the sea level. He was right next to the water. He had his tripod set to probably under a foot. And the lens was at a foot. So he was filming this platform from 1 foot above the water, over 9.41 miles away, right? There should have been I think 44 feet of curve between him and there. What actually happened, Bob the science guy went and he compared the images and he's looking at it and he's weighing it all up. He had to give him a 6 foot elevation. He gave him a 6 feet elevation, right, to actually make it match the globe model. So he increased his elevation height in the curve calculator, put him at 6 feet above sea level, right, to get the same image, and then said that's globe earth proof. What he's actually shown is globe earth proof, not flat earth proof. It's globe earth proof, right? And then I actually I confronted him about it and said, hang on, wait a minute, why did you put him at 6 feet elevation and not 1 foot? And he said, hang on, let me see if I can get the actual screenshot. One sec, because I do have it. Desktop.
Adam, are you still here?
Science guy.
Oh, man.
Really?
I'm ready for my tea. I've got to be honest.
Oh, right. Oh, here we go. Yes, I've got it. Here, guys. Right. Adam, what do you think of this, right? This guy filmed from 1 foot observation height, right? This is Bob the science guy's response, right? This is Bob the science guy's response, right? Let's get it in absolute. Hang on. Do you want me to read it out to you?
Yeah, go on.
At Ranty Flat Earth, I'll post here what I posted on my thread. Thank you, Ranty, for all you do to prove the globe. Yeah. Right. Learn to use a curve calculator. Yes. Well, this is what I was actually pulling to you. You put him at 6 feet observation when he was actually at 1. Whilst you're right. So here we go. While you are at it, explain how I reproduced his photo with a 6 foot observation height.
You had a 6 foot observation height, dickhead.
I couldn't believe what he actually said.
It's symptomatic of what they do, isn't it?
Can you actually believe that he wrote that, though?
Yeah.
Whilst you're at it, explain how I reproduced his photo with a 6 foot observation height. Well, it's bloody obvious, isn't it? Because you increase his observer height to make it match the image. So you forged it, you faked it. You didn't put him at 1 foot, because if you put him at 1 foot, it would bust your ball. So you put him at 6 foot, you retard. So yeah, Bob the science guy isn't scientific. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, he doesn't understand that the independent variable's got to be manipulated, and he thinks it's okay. And I'm like, you're a dickhead. Calls himself a physicist. Doesn't understand that the independent variable's got to be manipulated. It's like, I don't know how dishonest you can be before you become a fucking retard.
Well, he's just the latest in the list, basically. And as far as I'm concerned, though, they're all just not even worth my time. Really, not even worth my time.
I think that sums it up spot on, pal.
I've got better things to do.
Exactly. You can do a lot better things. And I think if I was trying to maintain the globe, distracting people like you and taking time away from you when we know the benefit of where you could spend your time more productively is probably an indicator of where they're now at to slow the progress. Because actually the most effective way of using their time is to argue with Ranty and stop him taking photos, or come up with bullshit lie, counters, misrepresent the truth, and then present an argument to that. I mean, it's kind of where they're at as they're demonstrating. So, yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, pal. Ignore them and move on to bigger and better things.
So to round this up, the reason why I won't debate Conspiracy Catz, it's simple. I only debate people that I respect, and I don't respect Conspiracy Catz. I don't respect him because he misrepresents every single flat earther that he's ever put on his channel. He thinks he's being funny. He isn't scientific. He lies about his science. He lies about the observations. He lies about me. He's lied about multiple observations of me and is deliberately trying to prove the globe by misrepresenting what's actually being shown and how that's actually been filmed. You know, increasing my observer height when it's not the case, denying that there's a tidal bore when I've told him there is and can prove it. It's documented in the area. It's literally, you can actually see it even happening in the video. It's crazy. And yeah, I mean, this is why I won't debate these guys. They don't deserve people to debate them. In fact, they should just sit in their own little corner. If everybody ignores them, right? Everyone ignores them. Nobody makes any videos about them. They'll just have their own little circle jerk. Let them be.
Yeah, but they're not aiming the videos at us. They're aiming the videos at the dumb, like the dredges at the bottom of the pond on their side. That's where they're aiming the videos. It's like with the proof, like when they have a debunk video, right? They're not debunking it with proof. They're debunking it with diagrams. And it's like, that's not debunking anything, guys.
No. And lastly, I just want to say there's a ban hammer for a reason on all my mods. If you see some idiot in there and they're making ad hom attacks or they've got a really fucked up name, just ban them, you know, because we don't need that. We don't need this in here. And I won't have it. That's the way it is. Right, well, guys, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I can let you go now.
Cool, man.
Cheers,
oh, do you want to show us your room one last time, Anthony? Show us your Conspiracy Catz room one last time.
Oh, hang on a sec. Me Conspiracy Catz. I haven't got my hat on. You'll have to bear with me.
And cheers, Adam. Thanks very much for coming and refereeing.
Cheers for inviting me, pal. Funny.
No worries.
Let's see Anthony take one of them guitars and play it.
Adam, it's called green screen.
Oh, been fooled again, Anna.
It's not real. I'm not really in that room, you know. Hang on, let me get it on. So screen.
I saw it.
Adam, I'm really not in this room, you know. I know it might look like I'm in this room, but if you look really carefully over that shoulder there, there's like a little bit of a seam that's about there. Not quite sure why it's doing it. Oh, it's because there's a light above it, so it's not quite perfect, but it feels like I'm in his room, doesn't it? If you look carefully, if I move myself out the way, you'll see. I'll go that way. You can see there's like a red.
If I like couldn't be asked to investigate and just wanted to believe, that would probably be sufficient evidence for me.
I know it's CGI. It's proof that I was in his bedroom. I could say that I've been in Conspiracy Catz' bedroom now because I've got proof. At least it's better than a flipping diagram, Conspiracy Catz. God damn it.
And I have to say, though, I mean, that's you nicked my idea because this is what I was. Well, I'm going to show my observations in this kind of format, and we were talking about it, and I have mentioned it several times, and you just beat me to it. But
I've never heard you mention it. I'm not having that. I want proof that you've said that several times.
You ask Nathan.
I've never.
I was even talking. I was talking to Nathan a few days ago about it, and he said, "Oh, it's a bit cheesy. That I don't think you should do that. No one will."
Is my name Nathan?
Huh?
Is my name Nathan? Was I in that conversation?
Still doesn't matter.
You're not doing a conspiracy flaps on me, are you? And misrepresenting me, saying that I've heard. I haven't heard you mention it before, to be honest. And I never.
This is fading out like an Iron Realm.
right, guys. Thanks for coming. I'm going to end the stream. See you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you
Bye,
later.
everyone.